Welcome to HR Voices, a podcast for independent HR and people professionals and the businesses they support. HR Voices is brought to you by the expert team at HR Independence Limited. We hope you enjoy.
Welcome to another edition of HR Voices podcast. I am your host, Mary Asante. Today is a special episode, a recap episode, where we look back and reflect on episodes 59 to 63, all centered around one big question: what is the real value of HR consultancy and how do we show it? Overall, the last few episodes I've spoken with some amazing HR consultants. The first one in episode 59 was Theresa Cooper from Cooperative HR, then Nicci Birley from Cornerstone Resources, Susi O'Brien from O'Brien HR, Debbie Molyneux from Highlight People, and Liz Dewar from HR Think. And together, we have explored some incredible topics and dived deep into values that HR consultants bring to organizations, whether we're talking about value, conflict, employment law, or growth. A few really strong themes emerged in these conversations. So today, I want to take the opportunity to pull out those themes, connect the dots between the conversations that I had with these amazing HR consultants, and also share some of my own reflections and thought leadership on where HR consultancy is heading. This is a great one to listen to, whether you are running or building an HR consultancy, working on businesses that use independent HR support, or you are trying to work out what should I actually expect from an HR consultant. So grab yourself a cup of tea, get comfy, and let's dive into this conversation. The first one, with Theresa Cooper, we looked at moving beyond policies and paperwork. So basically, we talked about the fact that I think wrongfully or most of the time people look at HR as some sort of red tape, policy enforcers, etc. And actually, there is a lot more that the HR consultancies deliver. And we dived into the real value of HR consultancy. One of the things I loved from that episode was how clearly Theresa challenged the old stereotype of HR being just about policies, paperwork, and HR red tape, as I've just said. And Theresa talked about the breadth of what HR consultants actually do, the importance of flexible, proactive support, and how at best HR consultancy is about protecting and empowering businesses, not blocking them. So it's really about enabling businesses to do what they do best to serve their customers and their key stakeholders and take that headache of employee relations, employment related issues, and people issues generally from them. And she says something that really stayed with me, which is, just because you can pay someone off doesn't mean you should. That line sums up the difference between transactional HR and value-led long-term thinking. If you're listening as a business owner or leader, this is key. You are not hiring an HR consultant just to get you out of a mess. You are hiring somebody to help you make decisions you can stand behind, protect your reputation, and build a workplace where people are treated with fairness and transparency. If you're listening as an HR consultant, the challenge for us is, how do we make that value visible and explicit? It's never or it's not enough to say, I do HR. We need to be able to say, for example, I help you sleep at night by reducing your people risk. Let's face it, when there are workplace disputes, such as complex grievances, an employee that isn't performing, or other work-related issues going on, lots of business leaders, lots of management are stay up at night thinking about this and don't really get good night's sleep, which end up affecting their well-being and their productivity generally. So the whole thing is that when by demonstrating value, we are able to assure businesses that we are there to help them avoid expensive disputes by getting things right early, or help them build a culture where people actually want to stay. Again, let's face it, the cost of employing somebody, recruiting someone, training them, whether it's on the job, formal training, etc., for them to be able to do the job effectively, and it is quite expensive. So getting it right, engaging the services and support of an HR consultant to help you get it right from the very onset and earlier on, in any case, help businesses and save businesses a huge amount of money. Theresa also reminded us that you are not just hiring her as an HR consultant, but you are accessing a whole community of experts through the likes of HRI, that's HR independence. So when you engage with one of our consultants, then you're really engaging with our whole community, because we genuinely support each other to deliver better service. And that's an important point. The value of an independent consultant isn't just their brain, it's the network around them. Legal specialists, sector experts, mediators, coaches, and a whole lot of people expertise that they can tap into to help you run your organization better and to support your people better. So if you're a consultant, ask yourself these questions. Do my clients fully understand that? Or do I need to explain my partnership and community piece more clearly?
I think prevention is definitely better than cure. So for me, if you're thinking of starting a business and especially growing that business and recruiting people, have a chat with an HR consultant, because, as you say, they can then help you look at that recruitment strategy, make sure that you're finding the best people in the best way. You can make sure when you onboard them that they have their T's and C's and the handbooks and, the policies that will protect you and them, and make sure that you're not doing anything illegally as well. So, for me, it's an initial conversation. Again, it's just as and what you need. So it's not a huge cost, but it's knowing with an HR consultant, that you have that support nearby, at the end of a phone or in a meeting face to face, that can support you and ensure from day one you're getting it right. And as you say, that means that when you bring the employees on, they're all on that same road to success with you, and they know the expectations, they know where the business is going, they know how you work, how the business works, etc., etc. So it's about transparency and being clear. So the sooner you get somebody in, kind of when you get a grievance on your desk, or having to discipline somebody, or sort of saying to somebody, oh, someone's driving me up the wall, I need to get rid of them, it's too late. One, you've lost the employee, you potentially lost the respect of other employees as well. So have that support up front, and anything that doesn't feel right, then you can have a chat about and make sure that you do the right thing at that point.
Then we move on to the next episode 60, where I had a conversation with Nicci Birley from Cornerstone Resources about how great HR consultants add value. So this was centered around tailoring support and seeing things through the lens of your clients. A strong theme from Nicci was tailoring. So tailoring support to each client's culture, to their faiths or values, to the realities of charities, family-run businesses, and SMEs that a lot of consultants support in their day-to-day work. I'm not assuming that what worked for one organization would automatically work for another. Nicci talked about HR consultants providing everything from recruitment to redundancy, but always through the lens of what does this client actually need right now and in their context. And she says something that I think all consultants should have printed and stuck on their walls. That is, see it through your client's eyes. Looking at things objectively through the lens of your clients really help you to be able to tailor your support to what your clients actually need, to their particular environment, and to the employees that they have within their businesses. Because it's very easy, especially when we are busy, to start from our own process. This is how, for example, I do a grievance. This is how I handle a disciplinary. And this is what my recruitment package looks like. But if we start from our client's world instead, we would be considering things such as, what are they worried about? Where is the pressure coming from? Is it cash flow, regulators, trustees, shareholders? What keep my clients awake at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m.? Then our advice become more powerful and much more usable. Nicci also reminded us that proactive relationship, those regular check-ins, those nothing wrong but let's talk conversations often uncover challenges long before they explode. My reflection on this: value in HR consultancy is often created quietly long before anyone says thank you. It's created in the difficult questions you ask in check-ins, the pattern you spot in sickness absence, the something isn't quite right here conversation you have with a client. And that's very hard to measure in the moment, but incredibly powerful over time. Again, if you are extremely good at what you do, chances are you make things seem so easy and so seamless that sometimes people may not necessarily see the value of what you do instantly, but over time would appreciate the value that you actually bring and add to their organizations. Before we round up, I like ending the podcast with your top 3 tips.
As a consultant?
Yeah.
So build a great network of other indies. Keep abreast of everything that's happening out there. HRI is a brilliant source of that, but also LinkedIn is a great one to find out what others are doing, what the conversations are out there at the moment. And keep a real open mind and put your customer at the center of everything. You know, put yourself in their shoes. What would they want? What value can we bring? Because we have so much value to bring. So have a think about that before you meet every new customer.
The next discussion was with Susi O'Brien from O'Brien HR, where we talked about employment law as a tool, not as a threat. So we looked at how engaging a consultant who is confident in employment law can really bring to the table. Employment law can sometimes feel scary for small businesses and sometimes for some consultants too. Susi shared her journey from being a senior in-house HR to launching her own consultancy in 2022 and how she blends solid employment law knowledge with practical people-centered advice. A few things really stood out in the conversation with Susi. First, her view that employment law should be a tool, not a threat. It's there to support good decision making, not to paralyze the business with fear. She spoke about doing redundancy right, using short-term working appropriately, and how employee experience throughout any process can make a huge difference to the risk of claims. And again, if you're a business owner listening, your HR consultant's role is not to wave a big legal stick at you. Their role is to explain your options, outline the risk, and help you choose a path that fits your values and your appetite for risk. If you're an HR consultant, your legal knowledge is not the product. Your product is confidence, your client's confidence in their choices. Susi also highlighted different models. So retainers, projects, pay as you go. And the message that came through loud and clear is, please don't wait until it's messy before you get help. If we could put one banner over HR consultancy in that episode, it would be, call us when you are thinking about it, not when you are desperate. Because earlier HR involvement is cheaper, is kinder, and it's almost always less stressful for everyone involved.
Not from
my perspective, my opinion at least, supporting with the intricacies and technicalities of employment law can be one of the biggest things that HR consultancy can offer to businesses, particularly small and medium-sized organisations that maybe don't have the resources to have like your in-house legal team and things like that.
Then the next conversation was with Debbie Molyneux from Highlight People, where we looked at how we can measure and demonstrate value and when to say no. Debbie did such a brilliant job of talking about value in numbers, which, let's be honest, HR hasn't always been great at. She gave some very concrete examples, like a CEO she coached seeing around 30% revenue growth, clients saving tens of thousands of pounds by using her recruitment instead of agencies, and using tools like insights to improve directors' relationship and team dynamics. And the lesson there is, if we want clients to see HR as a strategic function, we have to speak the language of impact, commercial impact, not just compliance. So, a question for the consultants or for HR consultants listening: are you tracking the value you help create? Do you know roughly how much agency spend you've helped reduce? How much time have you saved managers? How many disputes or grievances have you helped avoid? Because that's effectively the evidence that helps clients understand why they are investing in you and helps you price your services with confidence. Debbie also talked about diversifying your client base, not letting one client dominate your revenue. The power of your network, like HRI, and the power of networking generally, and the very human side of knowing when to walk away when you are misaligned with a client. And I want to underline that one. As an independent consultant, your value is part of your business model. If you're constantly feeling uncomfortable with the way a client wants to treat people, or if you're being asked to do things that clash with your values, it will drain your energy, damage your reputation, and in some cases, impact your mental health. Saying no to work or no more to a client is tough, especially given that as an independent consultant, you don't always know probably where your next income is going to come from, and you don't always have a guaranteed income based on your business model. For example, if you work on project basis rather than retainer, you may not necessarily have clients lined up or paying you on a regular basis, and you potentially need that income desperately to keep your business going. So it is quite tough to sometimes say no, but as Debbie and I discussed, sometimes the most professional thing you can say is, I'm not sure we are the best partner for you on this one. And that's okay, because we are not just here to do HR activity. We are here to add value in a way that we can stand behind.
Well, we always like to define the value to our clients. I mean, working in life sciences, we've got a lot of people that are interested in stats and evidence. So we like to match that as well and track what we're doing with our clients, so we can also demonstrate the return on the investment that they've got. So, for example, there's a CEO that we coach who runs a regional business. He was struggling a little bit, being the top of the tree. It's difficult to have somebody to talk to. So we do a lot of business coaching with him. That's not necessarily HR, but through an HR lens. And he's seen a 30% increase in revenue growth and won a regional award last year as well, which is fantastic. And I think also as consultants, we're running our own businesses, and we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that through running our own businesses, we can understand what our smaller clients are going through as well, because a lot of the challenges we're also having. At what point do you take on staff? Where do you put your marketing? You're trying to have several hats on all at once. So the coaching there directly led to a 30% increase in revenue growth.
Then we look or we move on to the next episode, which is conflict mediation and investigations with Liz Dewar from HR Think. The conversation really brought home the cost of unresolved conflict to individuals, teams, and to businesses as a whole. Liz specializes in coaching, mediation, and workplace investigations, and she made a helpful distinction between mediation with a small m, that's everyday conflicts that all managers could use, and mediation with a big M, that's a formal process, often with an external mediator to resolve a workplace conflict. She reminded us that most conflict is from some form of loss. And this can be due to the loss of trust, loss of respect, loss of status, or even a perceived loss that people are afraid might happen. I found her description of the mediation process very powerful, speaking to each party separately, helping them imagine what a good outcome would look like, and bringing them together safely, and focusing on the future more than relitigating the past. And again, there was that theme of early intervention. If you are a manager or a business owner listening, if you feel a grumble in the team, please don't ignore it. We all tell ourselves stories like, it will settle down after Christmas. I will deal with it after that big project. It's just a personality clash. Or actually, it's just John being John, Adam being Adam, or Mary being Mary. But unresolved conflict rarely gets cheaper or easier over time. And when it does escalate to a grievance or an investigation, Liz reminded us how important independence and impartiality are, particularly when senior leaders are involved, or where there are complex allegations of bullying and harassment or discrimination, how important it is to involve independent consultants or mediators or external investigators. My reflection on that is, one of the biggest value HR consultants bring is the ability to hold difficult, emotionally charged situations calmly and fairly. That isn't always visible on a spreadsheet, but it's often the difference between repairing a working relationship or losing two good people and, in some cases, ending up in a tribunal.
if you feel that there's a bit of a grumble going on, deal with it quickly. And I often liken it when I'm coaching managers, because managers will go, oh, you know, that's going to be a difficult conversation. And we give ourselves all sorts of reasons why we don't want to have a difficult conversation. I'll wait until I come back off holiday. Oh, Christmas is coming up. Or I'll just wait until this deal is closed. We'll just wait until we've had our conference, or whatever it is. It's an excuse.
Absolutely, absolutely. We all prolong and procrastinate on things that we don't enjoy, we find difficult, we're avoiding for whatever reason.
So I always say to people, and I was doing some, in fact, I dealt with a grievance that got really messy, and the business owner said to me, I knew this guy, I shouldn't have recruited him, and it just was bad from sort of day one, but he didn't do anything about it. And I said, you know what, this is a really expensive lesson, you're not going to do this again. Because you'll remember that if you want to take out a stinging nettle, it's easier to take it out when it's a little one. When it gets to be a big one, it's going to sting you.
So, drawing the strings, the threads together, or connecting all the dots. If we bring all these conversations together with Theresa, Nicci, Susi, Debbie, and Liz, what picture do we get from modern HR consultancy? For me, it looks like this. HR consultancy is no longer about doing HR paperwork. It's about being a trusted commercial value-led partner who happens to specialize in people. The consultants we heard from challenge outdated perceptions of HR, bring clarity and confidence around employment law, tailor support to each client's culture and context, measure and communicate impact and return on investments, and step into the messy human side of conflict to help people move forward. And across all of the 5 episodes, a few big messages emerged. The first is, don't wait for a crisis. Early HR input in strategy, culture, conflict, or legal risk save time, money, and preserve good relationships. The next one is think partnerships, not paperwork. Use your HR consultant as a sounding board, coach, challenger, and ally, not just as a policy factory. The third is make value visible. Track and share the difference your work makes in money saved, growth achieved, risk reduced, and people kept. This way, as an HR consultant, you can help demonstrate to your clients the value that you really bring to the table. The fourth is invest in conflict skills, coaching, mediation, and training managers in small M mediation can transform your workplace relationships, and it helps resolve issues and keep the workplace as a good workplace, an enjoyable workplace for all your employees. The last but not the least, or the fifth one, is stay grounded in values. Whether you're a business leader or a consultant, values alignment is not just a nice to have. It's not just a nice to have. It's essential. Thank you very much for tuning in and for listening. If you've been listening to me and you think I'd love to get more value from my HR consultant or from my HR consultant I work with, or I really want to reposition how I talk about my HR consultancy, I would really encourage you to go back and listen or re-listen to episodes 59 through to 63. Each guest brings a slightly different lens, but together they paint a very rich picture of what great HR consultancy can look like. And as always, I'd love to hear from you. If you're an independent HR and people professional, what resonated with you? What are you doing already? And what might you do differently? If you are a business leader, has this changed how you think about working with HR consultants? What support do you wish you had? And how are you going to reframe your relationship with your HR consultant to ensure that you get the best value out of that relationship that you have with them? You can email us at hrvoices@hrindependence.co.uk with your thoughts, questions, or topic suggestions. And if you know someone or you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, please do get in touch. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to HR Voices. Rate and review the podcast. It really helps others to find us. And share this recap episode with a colleague, friend, or business contact who will benefit from the topics that we've just touched on or discussed. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and I look forward to seeing you or talking to you on our next episode.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of HR Voices. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover or would like to be a guest, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media or email us at hrvoices@hrindependence.co.uk. Tune in next time.